New from Killer RC, we have this light controller that allows you to remotely control headlights, brake lights, and turn signals. This will work on pretty much any RC car that has a 4 to 12 volt receiver battery pack. And in the package here you're going to get some instructions that tell you basically all the stuff I'm telling you in this video, and then a couple stickers. The light controller is about 1.25 inches long by 1 inch by about 1/4 inch thick. It's pretty small. It only weighs about 8 grams. Should be pretty easy to fit in most battery boxes. You can even stick it to the lid, the underside of the lid of the battery box. You're going to want to keep this inside the battery box if possible, or protected from water and dirt if at all possible. And here we got 3 pigtails. These are going to plug into our radio receiver. Now our main battery input is right here. You can see one of the pins has been clipped off right there on the edge. This bottom right hand set of pins, there's a positive and negative. That's where our main power plugs in, and that's how all the lights and servos are powered, where the battery plugs in right there. Then here's our throttle servo output, steering servo output, and auxiliary output. Then on the other side we have 5 sets of pins. This is where our lights plug in. We've got 2 headlights, 2 tail lights, and a marker light. And the marker light is just constantly on. It's just like plugging in straight to the battery. Whatever lights you have, you want to be constantly on. Some underglow glow lights, or some extra headlights that you want to stay on all the time, you can plug those in right here. Now first we're going to get our power plugged in and get our tail lights set up. Plugging my battery in here with the black on the left hand side. Plugging in a couple of these Killer RC Baja 5T tail lights that fit in the light pods on the back of the 5T body. And we're just making sure we got them plugged in properly and not upside down. The brown wire is on top, because this top row is the negative pins and the bottom row is positive. So all our red wires will be on bottom. Okay, here we've got just HPI FM 3-channel radio, just a cheap radio. This light controller can work with pretty much any 3-channel radio. It can even work with most 2-channel radios. With a 2-channel radio you won't have control over your headlights though. The headlights will be constantly on. But if you got a 3-channel radio, then you can fully utilize all the functions that this light controller offers. So we're going to first find the channel 2, the throttle, which is labeled right here. Find the channel 2 pigtail and plug it in. We're making sure the negative is on the outside edge of the receiver, because if you plug it in backwards it won't work properly. So if the light controller doesn't seem to be working right, that's the first thing you want to check, is make sure everything is plugged in properly and not upside down. And the light controller powers the receiver. There's no need to plug a battery into the receiver. It all flows through here, and the receiver gets its power through this pigtail here. We're going to turn our transmitter on, and then we're going to turn the receiver power on. Okay, 2 tail lights are working, and give it some brake and see what happens. Okay, it's working perfectly. Now let's say that you've got your throttle switched backwards, which sometimes you have to do on certain servos. Sometimes your little switch on here, or if you've got a more advanced radio, in the menu you'll have this your throttle reversed. And what that will do is that makes your headlights work the opposite. See, now when I push the brake, my tail lights are going off. That's the opposite of how we want it to work. So if when you get all your lights set up, yours does like this, this is how you can reprogram the lights to work with your radio. Okay, first I'm going to switch my throttle to the opposite position, or if you've got a digital radio, you're going to go into the menu and switch it the other way. We're going to turn our power off, and now we're going to pull the trigger. We're going to give it full throttle and turn the power on the receiver, and the taillight should blink just like that. That means they have been reprogrammed. Okay, so now I'm going to let go of the trigger, turn the power off. Now I'm going to switch the throttle back to where I needed it to be. And now, once I push my trigger, the brake lights should work. It's perfect. Okay, now that we've got all that set up, we can proceed on to connecting up the other parts. We're going to plug in our steering channel, and plugging this in is what gives the light controller the ability to give you blinkers. Let's turn this off while we're plugging all this in. And we're going to plug in the auxiliary. Okay, so we've got all that plugged in, and here's our headlights, and let's get those plugged in to one of the headlight spots.